My sister-in-law, Sarah, had always been a bit controlling, but I never thought she'd take it too far. After my multiple miscarriages, she started using the names I'd chosen for my babies for her own children. It was a painful reminder of what I'd lost, and her insensitive comments made it worse. When I discovered she was pregnant again, I knew I had to take action. I created a fake diary entry with a name, Lexitiva, that I knew she'd take the bait with. And she did. She announced to the whole family that she was naming her daughter Lexitiva, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction when my husband exposed the name's true meaning related to constipation relief. But my satisfaction was short-lived. 8 months later, the universe threw me a curveball. I was pregnant. Like, third trimester pregnant. I almost cried with joy. No more memorials. No more wondering whether there was something deeply wrong with me. Me and my husband had been waiting to announce it, not wanting to get our hopes up. That same week, we got the text. It was Sarah inviting us to her baby's shower. I wore a flowy dress that hid everything, and my husband supported my decision not to give an F anymore. Sarah had gone all out for this shower, bigger than any before. The whole family was there, plus her mommy blog followers who'd been following baby Lexitiva's journey for months. Sarah was in the middle of giving her speech about discovering this sacred family name when I stood up. Actually, Sarah, I have something to share too, I said, smoothing my dress over my now obvious bump. The room went dead silent. Sarah's mouth hung open mid-sentence. My mother-in-law dropped her champagne glass. 29 weeks today, I announced, cradle in my belly. We wanted to be sure this time. The room erupted in screams and congratulations. Sarah's face drained of color. That's when my husband, the saint of the family, stood up and raised his hand. Sarah, you were saying something about Lexitiva, about all that research you did. Sarah's face had gone from white to red. Yes, it means sacred child in ancient. That's so weird, he interrupted, pulling out his phone. Because when I Google Lexitiva, all I get are medical websites about constipation relief. I had to hold my nose just to stop myself from laughing. The rest of the room was silent. I grabbed my husband's hand and walked out. It was a proud moment for all three of us. But I was fast asleep at 4 a.m. when I felt a sharp pain in my stomach, one I had felt 3 times before. Me and my husband rushed to the hospital, but I already knew the truth. It was a miscarriage. Turns out, one of my nighttime prenatal gummies had been swapped for something that was fatal to my baby. I instantly knew Sarah was behind it. I couldn't sleep for days after that. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Sarah's smug face at that baby shower. The police said they couldn't prove anything about the vitamins. The bottle had mysteriously disappeared from our bathroom, and the hospital couldn't detect what specific substance had caused the miscarriage. My husband finally stopped defending his sister. He sat on our bed, holding the empty vitamin bottle we'd found hidden in our trash can outside. His hand shook as he turned it over and over. Sarah had been in our house just 2 days before, claiming she wanted to help organize the nursery. I started documenting everything. Every text, every social media post, every cruel comment Sarah had made over the years. My laptop became my constant companion as I pieced together a pattern I'd been too hurt to see before. 3 weeks after losing our baby, I discovered something that made my blood run cold. Sarah's best friend, Catherine, worked at the pharmacy where I filled all my prescriptions. I remembered seeing them giggling together at family gatherings. Catherine always asked intrusive questions about my fertility treatments. I drove to the pharmacy during Catherine's shift. She saw me coming and tried to duck into the back room, but I cornered her near the vitamin aisle. Her face went white when I mentioned the prenatal vitamins. "I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered, but her hands trembled as she straightened bottles on the shelf. That evening, Sarah posted on her mommy blog about toxic family members who make false accusations. Within hours, Her followers were flooding my social media with hateful messages. My phone buzzed nonstop with notifications calling me jealous, delusional, attention-seeking. My husband deleted his social media accounts after his own sister's followers started attacking him too. We sat in our living room, curtains drawn, feeling like we were under siege. My husband held me tight, whispering words of comfort. We knew we had to take action, but we didn't know where to start. The next day, we went to the police station and filed a report. We showed them the evidence we'd gathered, but they said it wasn't enough to prove Sarah's involvement. We felt frustrated and helpless, but we didn't give up. We continued to document everything, and we started to build a case against Sarah. We talked to her husband, who was shocked and horrified by her actions. He told us that she'd been acting strangely for months, and he had no idea what she'd been doing. As the days turned into weeks, our evidence grew stronger. We had recordings of Sarah's threats, screenshots of her social media posts, and testimony from Catherine. We knew it was only a matter of time before we could take her down. And then the opportunity came. Sarah's husband filed for divorce, citing her journal as evidence of her unstable behavior. The court granted him full custody of their children, and Sarah was only allowed supervised visitation. But Sarah wasn't going to go down without a fight. She started showing up at places we frequented, always staying just far enough away to avoid violating the restraining order. She'd stare at us with a creepy intensity, and we knew we had to be careful. One day, she showed up at my husband's workplace, and he recorded her making threats. The police finally had enough evidence to arrest her, and she was taken away in handcuffs. The trial was a long and grueling process, but in the end, justice was served. Sarah was found guilty of harassment, stalking, and attempted fetal harm. She was sentenced to 15 years in prison, and her children were finally safe. As we left the courtroom, my husband held me tight. We'd survived the ordeal, and we were finally free from Sarah's toxic grasp. We knew that we'd always carry scars from the experience, but we were determined to move forward and build a happy life together. We adopted a baby girl from the foster care system, and we named her Emma. She brought us joy and completion, and we knew that we'd made the right decision in taking her in. As we looked at our little family, we knew that we'd overcome the darkness and found a brighter future. We'd faced adversity head-on, and we'd come out stronger because of it. We were grateful for the love and support we'd received from our friends and family, and we knew that we'd always stand together against any challenge that came our way. Years went by, and we rebuilt our lives. We traveled, spent time with loved ones, and enjoyed each other's company. We knew that we'd never forget the experience, but we were determined to move forward and live happy, healthy lives. And as for Sarah, she served her time, reflecting on her actions and the harm she'd caused. She lost everything that truly mattered: her family, her freedom, and her reputation. But perhaps, one day, she'd find redemption and learn to make amends for the pain she'd inflicted on us.